I am live and I'm in Los Angeles. Woo! I am traveling at the moment, so I'm not in Jackson Hole. So unfortunately, I don't have any beautiful background, but as you know me, I love things that are very much nature oriented. But what I was going to ask is, were you ever teased as a kid? Or maybe you felt like you just never fit in? Maybe you hated people because of it? Or perhaps you just felt like you weren't enough. My name is Rose Cayazzo, and the reason why I'm here today is I am a live streaming coach, and I want to tell you my origin story starting with ages, I guess 0 to 10, really. I think I wrote 1 to 10, but 0 to 10, because there's a lot of things that happened in my life that actually are interestingly put me in this place of knowing a lot about being on camera. So, of course, the air conditioning goes on and you hear this sound, and I try to make sure everything was perfect, but of course this is live and nothing is perfect. In fact, remember, one of my favorite sayings is F perfect. So just ignore that, please, and I'll try to be better about it in the future. So I was born to my parents, Louis and Elaine Cayazzo. Yes, that's how we say my name in the Americas. If we were in Italy, we'd say Cayazzo with the hand. But they have now passed on to another place, so they're no longer with me. But they taught me quite a few things. So starting with 0, I think one of the first things my dad thought or said to himself was, dang, she's not a boy. My father always wanted me to be a boy. And that I never was. I'm very much a lady. So I was coddled as a child. I was dressed up by my half-sisters and brothers that they would kind of dress me in all these fun little outfits. And I won like the cutest baby contest once. And I actually had those pictures with me, but I apparently lost that one. But thankfully, I digitized these before I brought them here. So this was me. I have no idea how old I am, but oh my gosh, that's me. Does it look like me? Yeah, I don't think so either. And then I looked at this next picture and I thought, oh, I must be like 1, and it says that I'm 2 years old. So I have no sense of time, like with children, even my friends' children and stuff. Does that look like me? You're like, no. I know, me too. I'm like, oh, okay, this is me. So anyway, I was actually born a pretty wild child, which was difficult for me as a kid because I was literally the girl running around with scissors in kindergarten. Literally. I cut someone's tongue in kindergarten. And I still remember her name. Her name is Pauline. And I felt terrible. I felt so horrible that I gave her a little lollipop to suck on, and it got stuck to the cut on her tongue. And everyone thought I was awful. So, it was hard because I was teased as a kid from kindergarten on, and I was known as the animal. I was also known as, my grandmother's name is Rosemary, because I was named after my beautiful Aunt Rose and my beautiful Aunt Marie, and they were lovely, lovely ladies. And so they decided to give me an old-fashioned name, which gave the kids in school a time with it. In addition to that, they would also say, don't look at her. Your face will turn to oatmeal. Blah. And you think about this, I'm 5, maybe 6 years old. How cruel can children be? These are the things I still remember as a woman that's now 50 years old. But there were other things, I think, that took me to a place of where I was in wonder. My parents always brought me to vacation in Walt Disney World. And although I thought Walt Disney World in Florida was a fun time, it was like, oh, same old thing. Even when I was younger, I thought that. I'm very much like a one-hit wonder. Like, I'm gonna jump out of a plane. Woo! Don't need to do that again. Okay, I'm gonna ski off this thing. Woo! Okay, don't need to do that again. You know, I'm a one-hit wonder. Even as a small child, I felt that way. But my parents brought me to Disney World, and I was fascinated by the voices that I heard. Right? I remember specifically being like 7 years old. I was on the monorail with my mother, and I heard this voice say, "Please stand clear of the closing doors." And I looked at my mom and I said, "Mom, where's that woman? I need to meet her." And she was like, "What woman?" And I was like, "The woman who just talked about the doors," right? Like, she just said, "Watch out for the door." And my mom chuckled and she said, "Oh, there's no woman there." And I thought to myself, well, I heard a woman. She said it was a recording, right? So I got this in my head, like, what is a recording? I would go into my mother would not go into the haunted house there, but my dad would go with me. And I would hear this voice, "Make sure you're sitting down and put the lap belt on your lap." You know, and I said, "Dad, where's that guy? I don't see him." My father was from Brooklyn, and so he had this accent that was very harsh. And he'd say, "What are you talking about? Like, just make sure you have your seatbelt on. Come on, sit down, shut up." That's how my dad was. And of course, I was like, but I just wondered. And you saw these little ghosts popping up, and they were all talking. And I thought, where are these voices? Fascinated. So, because I didn't have any friends when I was in the lower grades in school, I basically would play by myself, and I liked it. I was fine playing by myself. In fact, one of my most favorite things to do was listen to the radio. And I loved how the people on the radio talked. In fact, my father talked like he was from Brooklyn. My mother was from Queens and talked like that. And my father would say, "Grab me the garlic and the Earl over there." And I'd say, "Dad, it is not pronounced that way. It's not Earl, it's oil." You know, so I was constantly correcting my dad. But having this, you know, listening to the radio and hearing their voices, I literally changed my accent from not sounding New Yorkie style since I was 7 years old. I was also extremely active, so I came from a time where the parents said, "Go outside and play. Come back before it's dark." Okay. So I would go off, I would walk, wander. I'd basically be in the park across the street from where I lived. I actually lived on California Street. So how apropos that I'm in LA right now for lots of different things that are going on. But, you know, I was excellent at sports. I was an excellent swimmer, and I was good at every sport that I tried. So I was very outdoorsy, I was very sporty. But when I was 9 years old, my mother basically had me change schools. And she had me change schools because I wasn't doing good in school. I hated school because I hated people. I hated these kids. They were always making fun of me, and I couldn't seem to win. I was just completely dejected. So they sent me to Lutheran school, which I loved. It was very Christ-centered. I still love that to this day. And, you know, I had friends by 5th grade. I finally understood and knew how to talk with someone and how to treat them like a person and not be this extravagant wild child as I was. I was still pretty wild, but I had friends at 5th grade, because at 5th grade, I want to say you're, you know, like 10 years old, right? I also went to wilderness camp as a kid when I was about 10, and I absolutely loved it. I felt the most free when I was in the wild spaces by myself, which obviously will lead into other parts of my story. Not quite yet, because that was 0 to 10, and my next one will be 11 to 20, which, whoo, there's a lot of things going on up in there. So what I'll do is say, please, of course, go ahead and like, subscribe to my channel so you can get these live streams that I'm doing. And again, the reason why I'm doing these live streams, starting with my origin stories in separate increments, is because, you know, I've been a business owner for almost 18 years, and I do feel like I am trusted in my own community, but I've never worked with people online before, and I want you to trust me and know that I am a real person. So before I actually start teaching you about how to be better on camera and all the things to do to have confidence and be truly authentic, and all about the live streaming plan that will make you have people be attracted to you to want to possibly buy something that you offer, is what I'll be doing. So again, like I said, you know what? I'm not really on vacation here. I'm doing a whole bunch of things here in California for the next 2 weeks, and I'm thinking I could probably do one of these per day. So although I am always live 2 at 2, meaning Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Mountain Time, I know it's 1 o'clock California time, but you gotta stay 2 at 2. That's typically when I am live. I may go live other times before that in the next 2 weeks, only because I kind of want to get my origin story out there. Like, this is who I am. This is how we come full circle to why I'm doing what I'm doing now as a live streaming coach. I mean, I've been basically a social media expert for almost 20 years, and there's a lot to say about the communication techniques that I know and have learned in the school I went to, but you'll learn that next time. So this is my 0 to 10-year-old origin story. I hope you enjoyed it. And of course, you know, if you were teased as a kid, or you didn't like people, or people didn't like you, or you just didn't feel good enough, this is one of the reasons why I had a problem with being on camera, because I never thought, like, who am I to be on camera? What the heck, right? Like, I'm nothing. I don't need to be on camera. I'm not even that good. Well, times have changed, which is great, right? Because anyone and everyone can have a show if they want to. So this is what I've decided to do, but not just this, and do this for myself, because I do voiceover in addition to emceeing. I had a syndicated radio show, all the things. I want to teach women specifically and empower them to be better on camera so that they're more confident and that they are truly authentic. Have you ever seen someone just do like this big smile and talk like this the whole time and they're totally not themselves? Yeah, I know. Well, what you'll see from my live streams is that I am very much myself, and I have practiced on camera for the last couple of years to do this type of work. So I'm super excited, and I appreciate you listening here. And remember, one of those things that I love is when you write F perfect below. Then I'll know that you listened to this video. Okay, any questions, let me know, because I'm happy to answer them for you. And let's see, I have a new tagline, so I want to use it. I want to make sure I remember it, which is, keep it real and stand out by streaming live, because it is your authentic edge in the AI age. Bam. All right, let's turn this off for real now. Can we do this? Come on. Why they do this? Like, yes, I want to turn this off. Off. You know, YouTube is such a pain in the butt sometimes. Come on, YouTube. That says cancel or share. That can't be right. It's got to be this X. And I'm not left-handed, but they're forcing me to hit this button over here. Okay, bye-bye. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Why are you asking me that? Yes, I'm sure.